for everyone gathered here, very, very good afternoon. Now, there are things that are known, and then, of course, there are things that are unknown, and in between that lies the doors of perception. So said Aldous Huxley, but I want to take this a little further, and the reason why we're talking about perceptions today is because of the way people perceive truth. And I say the perception, or where you believe or you perceive the truth to be, depends on which side of the doors that you walk into. When you speak about international cricketers, and Indian cricketers in particular, you have the celebrity status, you speak about how glamorous it is, especially when it extends to their families, their partners, their spouses here. And everyone looks at how it will be perfect, picture perfect, savvy, social media. Oh, it's all so easy, not messy one bit. We're here to break those myths here today. And I've got two remarkable ladies whom I've had the privilege of knowing over the last few years to join me and make this conversation more enlightening. Because in all the years, we always talk about the success and the struggles of the cricketers, but it's time to talk about the Shakti behind all of that. I'm really honored to be joined by Priyanka Chaudhary Raina and Pooja Pabari. Thank you so much, ladies. It's been a pleasure.
Pleasure. Thank you so much, Rupa.
All right. First off, I have to sort of ask you, how many times have you heard this, or probably even being mentioned to you? It's all so glamorous. Bahut easy. It's fun.
You want to go? Yeah. Okay. So usually when you think of a cricketer's wife, you think, oh, they travel, they just live the best life, and, they enjoy, they have it all. Little is the known fact that cricketers live a very disciplined life, and the family has to follow. You may initially just, try to be there, but eventually, you understand the importance of the discipline, and you kind of want to grow with that. So, yeah, so it just looks glamorous on the outside, but it's just hard work and, and sweat and everything in between,
Priyanka.
I think for the right reasons they have this kind of perception, because thanks to social media, the kind of perception we give to the world is that we are traveling, we are lunching, we're dining out, and we're doing the best things with our kids, because we tend to share only the good parts, right? And we are so socially active all the time, giving these kinds of updates about our life. So for right reasons, that's the kind of perception usually people have. But trust me, our household is as normal as anybody else, I think, in this room. And we have similar kind of struggles, similar kind of challenges to deal with every day. So yes, it happens a lot.
Before we go to the next question, I obviously want to say there's a bit of a surprise, not just for the ladies here, but for all of you gathered here. We'll come to that in a bit. But if I have to just ask my obvious question to dig deep right at the start. They say it takes a village to raise a child. I'd say the same for a champion, and also to sort of mold yourself into being one. I mean, it's very difficult to have the success stories of a World Cup winner and a maverick in the shorter format like Suresh Raina, or a Test Championship finalist and one of the legacies and legends of the longer format of the country, She Shakti2024. It's not easy. It takes a lot of sacrifices for them to get here. Let's listen to yours.
You go ahead.
So I wouldn't call it like a sacrifice, to be honest, because we are one family unit, and our common goal and objective is to make a home which is full of love, of course, full of love, discipline, and of course, giving a good future to our children, right? That's the sole and common objective we have. So what I would really say that a lot of cooperation is required. I really have a lot of respect for all the hard work these guys put in, and they, as Pooja said, they have to have a lot of discipline, a lot of travel is involved. So while we sometimes have to be on the back foot with our things, because their things have to take priority, at the same time they're also sacrificing a lot, because it's not easy to travel for months, not to see children, not to be at home. So that also takes a lot of toll on them. So it's all about being there for each other, being supportive. So we make sure that we organize things well, that when they need us, we're right there. Because while they're playing such tournaments, they have to be emotionally and mentally very strong. So at that time, I think as a partner, it becomes very essential that they're mentally free and they're not having any worries coming in from home that children are having this or I'm going through this. So that is one thing we always have to ensure, that they are playing there with free mind without having to worry about anything.
Pooja, any instances that you can recollect which sort of helps us understand this better?
Yeah, of course. Lots and lots, actually. Just before like a couple of years, there was COVID, right? The guys were traveling non-stop and they were part of something called bio bubbles, right? They were created in order for them to, have the tournament going. At the same time, they were away from home. So one bio bubble after the other. And while the players have the motivation to, because they are going on the field and pursuing their passion and doing what they like for the country, for whatever franchise that they are playing, the families had also become used to, or, the bio bubble, being confined into a hotel room. It may look all nice, but it doesn't feel so on some days. And while you may not like it, but you have to do it, and you want to be there for your partner. So, like from one moving, you're living in a suitcase basically from one hotel to the other hotel. And the list just goes on. And this is just one anecdote. But there are so many sacrifices that, a family of the cricketer, not just the partner, but the family of the cricketer has to make. And it is a choice. It is not like imposed, or it is not, told to you, but it's a choice, because at some stage, I believe one has to understand and take a step back in order for the other one to flourish. And you will have your time. And that is when you can flourish, and, your partner will be cheering you. Yeah.
I just wanted to take off on that before we interject, because that's a very interesting point that you made there. We speak about your partners coming in when, when you need it the most. Going into this particular sort of a marriage, did you envision that this is how it's going to be? Did you envision things and difficulties or the challenges that obviously both of you have encountered? Did you envision it to be that way, or was it more than you imagined it?
I think you can't envision what happens in a marriage, to be honest. Marriage in itself is, I think it's one of the biggest change of your life, right? And you cannot prepare yourself for that. It's just, once you are in it, then you know what kind of package you got, basically. So, yeah, I think you just have to be prepared what's going to come your way. And as long as you both are strong with each other, then you're ready to face it.
Pooja, was there a conversation about this, about the fact that there will be certain things that has to, be given up for this journey to go forward?
Not really. Personally, it was never like that. But, my husband requested me that, for some time, because I'm going to be on the road for 11 months a year. And for some time, if you can quit your 9 to 6 job, it would be really great, because we get to spend some time together. So no one can really prepare you, as Priyanka mentioned. And you just learn and grow every day. And, it's a different experience every day. So it's not the same. And you can't put anyone's journey in one particular, column. And every person's journey is different. And the demand of every household is different. And being a long format player, my husband was on the road 11 months a year. So if I wanted to spend a little time with him, I had to, give his career at that point in time, the front seat, and I had to take a back seat. But that does not mean that, I was not doing anything concrete at that point in time. And you can be contributing in many ways. There is not one way to contribute.
Yeah, absolutely well said there, and that gives me the perfect intrusion in some sense to show a little something to both of you. It's a special message. I tried to build the surprise as much as I could. So if I could ask my team to play out the messages that we have, let's hear it, please.
Hi Priyanka, this is a special shout out to you. Thank you for coming in my life and being a great anchor. You have truly helped me succeed in my professional space. And our family, our home is a wonderful place, and you have played a big part in keeping it that way. You have done really well as a professional entrepreneur. You have succeeded in Mate. You have grown up looking after your NGO, She Raina Foundation. This is recognized the Shaktis our society, and you have done really well. And She Shakti event is gonna be amazing for you as well as for others. All the best to everyone.
Hi Pooja, For a change, it's good to be on this side of the fence, with you taking center stage in front of the media and me taking care of Aditi and the home in your absence. Jokes aside, I'm grateful to you for being the anchor in my life and at home. Looking after so many things, from taking care of Aditi, my dad, and managing the household stuff. Apart from all this, you have managed my commercial and financial matters as well. And you have done it so seamlessly, allowing me to focus on my game and career all these years. Thank you for all you have done so far. Enjoy the session and see you at home soon.
The operative word is soon. We can't be away for too long. But that brings me into a very nice, interesting subject. We all talk about equal parenting. We know there is no such thing, let's be honest. But we want to hear it from you ladies, because I have a few. In fact, the one reason why we wanted to have this conversation and we needed to have this sort of conversation is during the time when we were with Chennai Super Kings, I remember Aditi, Pooja and Cheteshwar's daughter saying, in school there was a teacher who asked, okay, what do our parents do? And she said, my dad plays, my mom works. So I want to know how much of an impact that you've had, and similarly with Priyanka as well. There was a shoot we did with Priyanka and Suresh, and both the kids, Rio and Gracia, were there, and they just automatically gravitated towards whatever it is that Priyanka was saying, and everything that she said really mattered. So how important has that been, and what kind of a responsibility have you shouldered in that regard?
See, it's a huge responsibility, right? Like parenting a child. Even if you know you both as a couple, you are doing a 9-to-6 job or in any work per se, parenting is a huge responsibility on its own. Now, imagine, like your partner is away for like 6-7 months a year or 8 months a year, and you have to be, you're doing the double parenting single-handedly. So it is, I wouldn't say challenging, because, you kind of have to bring the best that you have in you in order for your child to feel very secure, very, even adapting, because, you are on the road a lot of times. So, you're just teaching adaptability, teaching sportsmanship. There are a lot of things that go, because, not every day, like there's a lot of scrutiny over cricketers' lives, right? So, and children, knowingly, unknowingly, also get to hear about it. So, while, so see, as a parent, you have to really, like pull up your socks and, you explain the right things to your children and, give them the right information and the right window for them to grow. And that is what, as a mother, because, when your partner is traveling, that is what, as a parent, you have to take that onus on you and, kind of make sure that, your child, inculcates the right qualities and, like the right habits. So, yeah.
How difficult is that part of the roles that you end up playing, Priyanka, trying to be two parents instead of one?
I think children are very smart these days. So I cannot just simply be there and say, okay, dad is not here, so, I'm going to be replacing him or something. They really know what they need from each parent. They're very, very smart. When it comes to anything where they seek any sort of security or any cuddles, they know they're not going to reach out to moms. And when it's fun times, then it's always fathers. We are the bad cops, no matter what. And I tell you an example. So my daughter Gracia, she's 8 years old, and she has a daily log from school where they talk about different things they have learned today. And she came back home and she has this word, resilient. And so I asked her, what does it mean? What did you learn? And she said, for me, resilient means you. And I think that was a very big thing for me. I literally had tears in my eyes because I look up to my children. Honestly speaking, I look up to them for any sort of validation. They're my biggest support system, biggest critiques. And my daughter, even though she's 8, she's already acting like a teenager. So she would be the first one to say, Mom, you're not doing it right. You need to change your clothes. You're not looking nice. So, and that is something nobody can replace, that kind of bonding I have with my children. And similarly, my son, he's very sporty. He's 4 years old. He's so much into cricket right now, I can't even explain. So for him, Papa and his matches, watching him play. That's the biggest joy of life right now. So we really make sure that whenever he's around or I'm not traveling, that we give these beautiful moments to our children. They cherish them and we be there for each other.
You know, very quickly, I have to ask you about this as well. We know we're running short of time, but this is a very key question. You know, obviously, both of you are accomplished professionally as well. You know, with Priyanka, with Mate, you help your family with their business, and of course, you've had your own career that you're proud of. How difficult was it initially to take a step back, and how do you see this aspect of your growth in the years to come?
So I come from a corporate background of long, like 14, 15 years, and I was not based in India. I was into banking and I was working in Europe. Right after I got married, I moved to India, the first change, right after getting married. And it was not possible for me to just sit at home and do nothing. So I found my ways of doing things which I could gradually pick up because I had a daughter right after I moved back here, and my son, he was born during COVID on first day of lockdown, by the way. So I knew that I want to do something on my own so that I have more time to spare for my kids and be for them while my husband is traveling, basically. So I started working on my foundation where I worked towards maternal health and mental health of women. And at the same time, I started Mate, which is a baby care brand. And so I have partners, and they know that my first priority is, of course, my family and my kids because they are very young, and I do not want to miss on the special time with them. So yeah, I ensure that my team is aware of that, and they're always there for me when I'm not around. So
Pooja, very quickly before we wrap this up.
Yeah, so it was challenging, to be honest. I'll not lie. It was really, really challenging. Just, traveling and not doing anything. But then eventually I realized that when you have some free time to yourself, it's good to, learn new things because you have some time available to you. So firstly, I started learning about cricket. I didn't know a thing about cricket, so I started understanding the game. Then I started understanding...
She loves cricket.
Yes, I do. And so then I started understanding about the game. Then I started understanding about the other aspects of the game, like a professional cricketer needs to be managed, right? So the endorsements and the commercial aspects of it and everything. And then while cricketers are like, they're really good at what they do, but they don't really know, they don't manage their finances well, I think. So then I got into that aspect, and I started doing those things which were adding a lot more value than, me being away and just, pursuing my career on my own would have. And I will not lie, I did have my regrets. I did have second thoughts that I want to go back to, the things that I was doing. But when I started doing these things, it started giving me, that joy of what I was doing in my other professional career. And that is when I realized that, okay, if you have the flexibility to work from anywhere, then why do you want to just be confined to, a space? And so, yeah.
Right, and I'm sure even this time we won't be able to encompass all that goes behind the walls, but we do realize that whatever success that you see on the field, a lot of it depends on what happens behind the scenes. And ladies, you do a remarkable job of that, as well as furthering your own. Thank you so much for joining us here today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having us.